morning. Welcome to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. I'm Sean DeKnight. And Sheriff, this is one of those shows that we want parents tuned in for today.
Sean, I tell you, this is perhaps one of those shows that every parent should sit down and watch this show in terms of what goes on the internet.
Yes.
And where your kids each and every day, because they're all on it. I mean,
yes.
That's the one thing you can count on. They've got their devices in front of them. And where are they? Where are they in the world, quite honestly? They can go anywhere in the world on these devices and they meet all kinds of people. And that's what our parents should be concerned about. Who are these people our kids are meeting? Yeah,
and you look, you have 3-year-olds who are on iPads these days. So you have to start these conversations early about what are the rules of engagement when you're on social media. Today's show really is focused on something called sextortion. We're going to talk all about that today. But there are people out there looking to prey on our children.
Yeah, the FBI has gone all out across the country trying to engage law enforcement agencies to connect with their communities about these sexual predators that are out there. Extortion, sexual extortion is something I never thought we'd be talking about through the internet and that sort of thing, but it's real. And our parents need to know exactly what their kids up against. And hopefully you'll hear us today talk about that in more detail.
Absolutely. We have one of our Internet Crimes Against Children detectives with us today, and he's going to really walk us through what is this, what do parents need to know, how does this happen? And they've really done a great job of doing some proactive patrols and making some arrests of these individuals who are preying on our kids.
Yes, I can't speak enough about understaffed we are in terms of our ICAC unit, and we'll talk more about what ICAC is in a moment. But the staff there, the detectives, are doing a tremendous job trying to educate, not only educate themselves, coordinating with the FBI and federal agencies, and then trying to get that information out to the citizens of Leon County. Please watch this show today.
Yeah, this is one of those topics where not only parents, but we really want to educate our community as a whole, because, we have the sextortion component of this, but really even elderly people are preyed on, so everyone can really learn something from this topic.
Absolutely. This is one of those all-in kind of discussions here today, Shonda.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to dig deep into it, so we want to make sure you stick around. Again, all parents, grandparents, we want you to listen to today's show. We're seeing an alarming increase in sextortion cases. We'll talk to one of our detectives coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Detective John Sartorelli with the LCSO Internet Crimes Against Children, better known as ICAC. John, tell us a little bit about your career before we get into ICAC.
I came with LCSO in 2015. While on patrol, I was a field training officer, training new recruits to teach them the proper ways of doing this job. I then moved into criminal investigations, and I went with the property crimes unit and specified on the auto crimes task force, which primarily focused on auto theft and vehicle burglaries. From there, I transferred to ICAC task force.
Okay.
And I've been there ever since.
All right, that's a good place for us to jump in. Tell us about ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. How does that work? What is it all about?
So, like you said, ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. It is a national network of 61 task forces around the United States, and we all conduct criminal investigations related to child sexual exploitation and internet crimes against children. And it's comprised of about 4,700 state, federal, and local law enforcement officers.
Wow, that's a lot of people dedicated to trying to find these folks involved in crimes against children on the internet. Talk about, John, for just a little bit, what exactly do you guys do, and how do you come up with locating these people who are involved in trafficking our kids out there or trying to commit crimes on the internet?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways we can go about conducting these investigations. There are kind of a reactive approach where we receive tips from whether it's citizenry or other businesses on the internet, advising that there might be some crime related to child exploitation.
Okay.
And then there's also proactive approaches, where we proactively go out onto the internet and try to find these individuals who are preying on our children in our communities.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that right now, the proactive cases that we've worked here in Leon County. Talk about that and how successful have we been?
Well, recently we have been quite successful. These proactive investigations have led to several relatively high-profile arrests. And just to kind of explain how broad these can be, these investigations can identify suspects not only around the world. Some are right here in our backyard in Leon County. Others are across the world, in Europe or Africa or East Europe. Also, the suspects, they kind of cross all socioeconomic boundaries. So some of the people that we've arrested, they range from doctors to teachers to lawyers to police officers, all the way to just your local person working an 8-to-5 job.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, we want to talk today about sextortion. Talk about that. What is sextortion?
In a nutshell, sextortion is just being coerced into sending explicit images online and then having those images used against you for some kind of monetary value. And through deception, predators can convince young targets to produce these explicit videos and images. And then once these predators acquire these images, they threaten to release the compromising material unless the victim sends some kind of financial payment, like a gift card or wire transfer or something along those lines. And just to kind of expound on that, over the past year, nationally, law enforcement has received more than 7,000 reports related to online sextortion of minors. And that's resulting in at least 3,000 victims, primarily young boys, and that can lead to several suicides that are documented.
My goodness, that's incredible to think that that's happening right here in Leon County. We want to talk more about that in just a minute. Thanks, Detective. Up next, do you know where your children are doing online? Tips of parents after the break. Stay with us. Back with LCSO Internet Crimes Against Children Detective John Saltarelli. We're talking about the increase in sextortion cases and why parents need to know what their kids are doing online. John, why are boys such a great target for sextortion cases?
That's a great question, Sheriff. So teenage boys are just more vulnerable in this kind of crime. They are more likely to respond to advances from what they believe to be attractive people, especially when those advances are sexual in nature. And these predators use common social media sites, gaming sites, online chat platforms, etc., that child victims feel familiar with and safe to be on. On these platforms, these online predators often use fake female accounts, and they target young minor males, mainly between the ages of 14 and 17, but we have seen child victims as young as 10.
Wow, my goodness. So John, what can parents do?
Well, there's definitely a few things that parents can do. First and foremost, parents need to remember that the predator is to blame, not the child or not themselves.
Okay.
That is absolutely the most important thing to remember. And then get help before deciding whether to pay money or otherwise comply with the predator. Cooperating or paying rarely stops the blackmail and continued harassment. Another good tip is to report the predator's account via the platform's safety feature, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, etc., just to name a few. Also, it's always good to block the predator, but don't delete the child victim's profile or messages, because those can be used by law enforcement in helping identify who the predator is and where they are located. Also, it's always good to reach out to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC for short, and they can help get explicit images of children off the internet. And it's always good just to ask for help. I know this can be a very complex problem, and it may require help from adults or law enforcement.
Let me ask you now, so if a parent just suspects that their child might be a victim, what advice you give them?
I'm going to reiterate this, and if parents have any kind of suspicion, they obviously need to remember that the predator is to blame, not the child or themselves.
Yeah.
And communication plays a critical role in identifying this kind of problem. Parents should be open with their children about sextortion and what goes on the internet. And
So would you suggest then that they just have a conversation about sextortion without having any idea that suspicion the child's being extorted, but we should have that conversation? Is that what you tell us?
Yes. Communication is of the utmost importance, not only with this, but just being online in general. The sum total of human knowledge is in the palm of our hand.
Yeah.
But obviously there's responsibility that comes with that.
Well, John, what kind of message do we have out there for those persons who are sextorting our kids out there?
Look, these are heinous crimes, and we continue to exhaust every resource at our disposal to identify, support the victims, and to locate and apprehend the perpetrators to ensure they face justice.
And John, what kind of resources do we have in our community to assist the parents and families out there?
So there's a plethora of resources that can be utilized by members of the community. You can call Leon County Sheriff's Office at 606-5800. You can also call the Homeland Security Investigations. They have a online tip line website that parents and children can go on and submit a tip. There is also a phone number which should be displayed on the screen, and that is the phone number to Homeland Security Investigations tip line. And there's also an outreach program called iGuardian that is sponsored by Homeland Security Investigations, and they provide outreach and support in these kinds of incidents. Not only that, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children also has several online links that should be displayed on the screen, and parents and children can go on them, file a tip, try to get the help that they need to combat these things and try to get their images offline.
Well, John, thank you so much. We'll have to get you back on this show. Just ahead in our Deputy on Duty segment, we kick off our Black History Month series with Captain Andrea Blaylock, how she's helping to train future generations of law enforcement deputies. Stay tuned.
On this episode of Deputy on Duty, we introduce you to Captain Andrea Blaylock. She's in charge of training at the Leon County Detention Facility.
I really enjoyed my time thus far here at LCSO. It's a family dynamic.
If the agency had cheerleaders, Captain Blaylock would be the best person to lead the squad. She's known for being all in, volunteering at LCSO community events and non-agency events just to support her coworkers. And there's a good reason for that. She says her coworkers are just like family.
Any particular day that I go up to the third floor break room to have coffee, and we have all the members from different units. They come in there and we're laughing and talking, and we're talking about our families, we're talking about the job, we're talking about football, go Jags. That is probably the best part of my day. And I think it's great because we could start the day off in laughter and upbeat.
And after she gets her kick, it's off to business.
Well, we're gonna have to do a little training there, revisit this. My job is to focus on the detention officers and provide them with some credible new information that they can use to put these tools and resources in their toolbox and have a better shift, have a safer shift, and just be the best detention officer that they possibly can be.
Captain Blaylock joined LCSO in 2020 as the Employee Development and Training Administrator, but her background is in corrections, so her promotion was a perfect fit with her more than 25 years of experience.
I had various roles of increasing responsibility, recruiter, CO, CO1, CO2, which is the sergeant, and the consultant, which was essentially an academic coordinator for the Florida Corrections Academy. And I got an opportunity to go over to Tallahassee Community College at the Pat Thomas Law Enforcement Academy to be the corrections coordinator. And I trained corrections officers, correctional probation officers, and some law enforcement.
Blaylock thought she was on the brink of retirement, but she knew she had more to give the profession, and LCSO was the perfect place to put her experience to use.
I thought that I wanted to get into a career where it was upward mobility, that I could establish myself personally and professionally. And it's been such a grand opportunity that I've had so many opportunities to develop professionally. So corrections was an opportunity for me to serve both underserved communities.
While she's training the next generation of law enforcement and corrections officers, Captain Blaylock has this advice for newcomers.
When I got into law enforcement, I was about 27 years old at the time, going on 28. So I felt like I should have been a little further in the career than I was. And so I always was, I can't wait to be sergeant, and I can't wait to be lieutenant, And so when you don't enjoy the journey, you miss out on a lot of learning opportunities. You miss out on a lot of positive professional work relationships. You miss out on a lot of things. And so I tell any young person, whether it's professionally or personally, enjoy the journey.
As far as what's next, Captain says she's found her calling.
I think training is my passion. And I want to give the detention staff what my mentors gave me early in my career. And that's simply to just stir up the gift that's inside you and be the best officer that you can be.
Captain Blaylock encourages others to learn more about opportunities at the Leon County Sheriff's Office. Visit our website, leoncountyso.com, to apply right now. I'm Angela Green for Leon County Today.
Welcome back to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil, and Sheriff Captain Blaylock has really come into the agency and hit the ground running.
She really has. I mean, she's been a breath of fresh air for us. Her expertise and training, her background in corrections and law enforcement, her demeanor, the ability to interact with a person from all walks of life, you might say, and her expertise. I tell you, the fact she's a tremendous trainer. And more importantly, she's a great presenter. She has put on a number of training programs herself and led those. And we've been very fortunate to have a person like Blaylock come and work with us. And I'm looking forward to what she does in the coming 2023.
Absolutely.
In terms of the number of persons we've got coming on board in corrections and law enforcement, she's going to be really busy.
Yes, you tasked her well, for sure. And then we want to talk about internet crimes against children, hearing from Detective Saltarelli and, how really sneaky these predators can be. When you think about targets and who they're targeting, you might think little children, but teenage boys, it's such a big demographic they're going after.
Shall I tell you, it's this internet stuff and the targeting of our youth, and it's something that every parent, I hope that, again, every parent needs to see this show and go about trying to find out how they can fortify their children against these predators that are out there. And they're out there in alarming numbers. As John was saying to us, Detective Saltarelli, These people are from Africa, Europe, all over the place, and they're taking these images of our kids and exploiting them, and then coming back and extorting the parents and family members
Right.
for these images they have. So please, please pay attention out there to what's going on here in Leon County.
Yeah, I was saying earlier in the commercial break that I've had the conversation with my 13-year-old at the dinner table, and it's really one of those things as parents we have to get in front of.
Absolutely. And I hope if you're looking again, we are going to do another story on this. It's that important to us because we're hopeful that it's that important to you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of Leon County Today. We'll see you back here next week.